Hi everyone. I and along with my sister-in-law and my husband, we will be making a sheet pan pizza. The first thing I wanted to do was add some olive oil. This is a half a cup of olive oil to water. There is 1 3/4 cups of warm water, and it should be about 110 degrees. Any hotter is actually going to kill the yeast. So we want to just make sure that it is warmed up to about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, she will be adding sugar, and this is 1 tablespoon of sugar to the liquid and oil mixture. This sugar is going to help feed the yeast, and it's also going to sweeten the dough just a little bit and help to add some volume to the. In the stand mixer, she's going to now add 25 ounces of all-purpose flour, or this is 5 cups of all-purpose flour. She's also going to be adding yeast. The amount of yeast that the recipe calls for is 4.5 teaspoons of instant or rapid rise yeast. Yeast plays an important part in flour mixtures like pizza or yeast breads because what it is, it's a biological leavening agent, and it increases the volume and it helps to contribute to crumb, texture, and flavor. She's also going to add 2 teaspoons of salt, and salt just adds some flavor. It helps to firm up the dough and it improves volume, texture, and crumb of the yeast bread or pizza in this case. The bowl has been added back to the stand mixer, and it is just stirring for about 30 seconds until all the flour and the yeast and the salt has been combined. And she stopped it, and now she's gonna be adding the liquid to the stand mixer. The liquid is really important because it helps to hydrate the flour, which helps the dough come together. The liquid, in this case with the water and the olive oil, helps to serve as a solvent for all the dry ingredients. And as you can see, she is adding it just a little by little. And this will keep stirring, or the dough will be kneaded until it's uniform in texture, and this goes about for 3 minutes. Before transferring the dough to the bowl, it will be important to coat the bowl with olive oil so that it doesn't stick or cling to the sides of the bowl. This is just really, there's no measurement needed to coat the bowl with oil. It's just whatever is needed to coat it properly. She's now going to be adding the pizza dough to the oiled bowl, and we are going to let this dough rest at room temperature, covered with plastic wrap, until it's doubled in size, about 1 to 1.5 hours. This is not the only time it will rest. You will see later on in the video that the pizza will rest an additional time on the sheet pan. Now we're moving on to the pizza sauce. I added 2 8-ounce tomato sauce cans to a saucepan. You can choose to use a no salt added sauce so that you could control or change up the amount of flavor to the pizza sauce. I'm now going to be adding Italian seasoning, and I am using 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. And I will also now add 1 teaspoon of onion powder. And I'm also going to be adding garlic powder to this as well. I did it this way because I do like the flavor of that onion and garlic powder in my sauce. And it was pretty easy. And next thing we're going to be doing is just stirring it until you see a few bubbles in the sauce, and then you're going to set it aside. The next step is I am going to be shredding my mozzarella cheese. I will need 3 cups or about 12 ounces of mozzarella cheese. Now I do this because it actually makes for a really great pizza with the melted cheese, opposed to buying cheese that's already been shredded and it has added anti-caking agents. Now this anti-caking actually prevents the cheese from melting very well. I'm also going to be shredding or grating some Parmesan cheese also. You need 3 ounces of Parmesan cheese or 1.5 cups. I'm going to be preparing my sheet pan that I will be adding the pizza dough to. And I have added 1/4 cup of oil to this sheet pan. It sounds like a lot, but trust me, it will make the pizza, the dough, very crispy on the bottom. So if you've ever had Pizza Hut pizza, this is what they do. I will now be preparing my dough, and I've just sprinkled some flour onto a counter, and I will be rolling out the dough. There you go. It has doubled in size, and it's a quite beautiful dough. The next thing you're going to see me do is I really like to get as much dough as possible. So with the same technique of adding flour to a counter, I've done the same thing with the bowl, and I just want to use the dry flour and just scrape it all and add it all together so I have as much dough as possible. I'm now going to take my dough and I am going to use a rolling pin. I will put a little bit of flour on it. If you don't have a rolling pin, I've heard that a glass wine bottle will do the trick as well. I want to make this into a 16 by 12 inch rectangle or the size of your sheet pan. And one great way to measure that is by just taking your sheet pan and placing it on top of your dough to see if it can fit. I wanted to make sure that it was about the same size as the sheet pan. I just gave it another final roll, and you may not see it in this clip, but I actually took or will be taking some of the dough and using it for another baking tray. In my case, I actually used another 9-inch metal pan to make a smaller pizza. There you go, you can see it. It's cut on the sides. Now I'm just rolling it one more time to make it flat. And the next thing I will be doing is I will be transferring my dough to the sheet pan. I am type A, so I really wanted to make sure that it was even on all sides and that it was pretty uniform and that it would fit into the baking sheet. I'm now going to transfer the dough to the prepared sheet pan with the oil, and I'm going to stretch it as much as possible to fill the corners. And it won't seem like it's going to stretch, but with this final resting, it's actually going to stretch again. All the gluten from the kneading is going to relax, and it will be able to stretch to fit the rest of the sheet pan. While the dough was resting, what I had done was I set my oven to preheat to 450 degrees. At that same time, I poked some holes in the dough. Now you'll be seeing my daughter and my husband taking over these next few steps. After it has set and risen, he is now going to be adding the Parmesan cheese to the dough. This will act as a barrier, and you will see that we're actually cooking the pizza in steps. So this Parmesan creates a barrier so that it has a nice crust and it is not soggy. This will bake for 7 to 10 minutes. Now, after that's done, the next step is adding the pizza sauce. And the pizza sauce, you will spread it all around your crust, however far you want. If you want more crust, then of course you would leave more crust. And not fill the whole pizza with the sauce. But you will let it bake in the oven for 7 to 10 minutes. After, you will pull it out of the oven, and the last step is adding your toppings of cheese and any type of vegetables or meats that you want to. This final last baking stage will be 12 minutes. After it's done baking, you are going to remove the pizza from the oven and you're going to let it rest for 5 minutes before digging in. I hope you guys enjoyed this pizza video. Please feel free to let me know how it came out, if you did try it, if you liked it, or if you didn't like it. Have fun, guys. Happy cooking. Take care. Bye.